Buddhism and the Bible. Buddhism is one of the major world religions and is predominantly practiced in Asian countries. Buddhism is a faith that was founded by a man named Siddhartha Gautama, who is more commonly referred to as the Buddha. Siddhartha was born into a wealthy Hindu family around 563 BC in modern-day Nepal and died around 483 BC. Over time, Buddhism has assumed many different forms, but in each case, there has been an attempt to draw from the life experiences of the Buddha and his teachings. Since Buddhism does not openly acknowledge a supreme god or deity, some scholars view Buddhism as a moral philosophy rather than a religion. However, Siddhartha Gautama himself refused to deny or affirm God's existence. The Buddha said it is more important to take steps to end your suffering rather than to follow endless discussions on the true nature of God. Even though most liberal Buddhists may not emphasize the concept of a deity, they do honor the Buddha, other Buddhist teachers, ancestors, and various deities that are equivalent to Hindu deities. They use images in their devotions, bow before those images, and make offerings to them, and pray and chant to them. According to legend, as a young man, Siddhartha once went on a series of 4 chariot rides where he saw 4 sights, which he concluded to be the major 4 forms of human suffering. The first was an old man. The second was a sick person suffering from disease. The third was a dead body. And the fourth was an ascetic renouncer, a person who practices severe self-discipline and avoidance of all forms of indulgence. After seeing these things, Siddhartha realized that all the pleasures on the earth were in fact temporary and could only mask human suffering. After seeing these things, Siddhartha left his wife and son and tried severe renunciation or self-denial. Finally, realizing that this too was only adding more suffering, he eventually ate and sat down beneath a tree to meditate. Legend continues to state that after this meditation, Siddhartha had arrived or attained nirvana, which is enlightenment, which he believed provided wisdom and answers to the causes of human suffering and the permanent release from it. After becoming enlightened, the Buddha began to teach others. The main doctrines the Buddha taught included the 4 noble truths and the Eightfold Path. The first noble truth is that life is suffering. Life as we normally live is full of pleasures and pains of the body and mind. Pleasures, he said, do not represent lasting happiness. They are inevitably tied in with suffering, since we suffer from wanting them to continue, and wanting pain to go so pleasure can come. The second noble truth is that suffering is caused by desires. People crave for pleasures and for things to be as they are not. People refuse to accept life as it is. The third noble truth states that suffering too has an end. The fourth noble truth offers the means or the path to that end. This end is achieved by following the Eightfold Path, also often referred to as the middle way. Out of the Eightfold Path, the 8 views consist of the right view, which refers to the understanding of the 4 noble truths and the acceptance of human suffering. Right intention refers to the thought of selflessness. This is shown by denouncing the cares and desires of this world and practicing the Buddhist teachings. Right speech refers to the abstaining from lying or deceptive, divisive, or hurtful speech. Right action refers to our conduct, not harming others, not killing, stealing, or behaving in sexual misconduct. Right livelihood refers to having an honorable and ethical occupation that does not bring harm to others. Right effort refers to controlling one's mind by not allowing yourself to be hindered by negative, evil, or unwholesome thoughts. Right mindfulness is to be diligently aware, mindful, and attentive regarding one's own feelings, thoughts, and actions. Right concentration refers to remaining withdrawn from one's physical senses and instead focus on training and disciplining the mind through meditation. Buddhists embrace the concept of karma, which is the law of cause and effect. All actions have consequences. They also believe in reincarnation, which is the continuous cycle of rebirth. It is taught and believed that the consequences of one's actions will be felt in their next life. The ultimate goal for Buddhists is to reach enlightenment and be released from the cycle of rebirth and suffering. This spiritual state of release is said to be the highest state of inner peace and wisdom that can be experienced. When followers reach this level, they are said to have experienced nirvana. Now that we have an overview and an understanding of the Buddhist teachings and beliefs, let us examine them along with the Bible. The first point that can be recognized is that Buddhism was originally known as an Asian religion. According to the scriptures, most Gentiles or non-Israelites did not follow nor worship God, mainly because they did not know how. The book of John, chapter 4, verse 22 reads, "You worship you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews." Siddhartha Gautama and his teachings of Buddhism did not emerge until around 500 BC, whereas Moses lived around 1500 BC. That means the writings and teachings of the Israelites had existed and been in practice for more than 1,000 years before the Buddha created his philosophy. The book of Colossians chapter 2 verse 8 reads, "Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ." Most of the moral concepts that were taught by Buddha were already being taught by Israelites. The primary difference between Buddhism and the Bible is that most Buddhists deny God and Christ. The book of Psalms chapter 14 verse 1 reads, "The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good." Even though most Buddhists do not openly acknowledge that they worship any god, they bow down to idol images of Buddha and other Hindu deities when they pray and chant. The book of Psalms chapter 96 verses 4 and 5 reads, "For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens." The Buddha claimed that he realized all the pleasures on earth were in fact temporary distractions from the sufferings of human life. This understanding is taught as part of the right view in Buddhism. King Solomon, who lived around 400 years before Siddhartha, came to this same understanding also. We can read this in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, verse 1. It reads, "I said in mine heart, go to now, I will prove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure, and behold, this also is vanity." Continuing Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 7 through 11. "I got me servants and maidens, and handservants born in my house. Also I had great possession of great and small cattle, above all that were in Jerusalem before me. I gathered me also silver and gold, and the peculiar treasures of kings and of the provinces. I got me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men, as musical instruments, and that of all sorts. So I was great, and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me, and whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. I withheld not from my heart any joy. For my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my portion of all my labor. Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and out of the labor that I had labored to do, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. Continuing, verses 15 through 17. Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, this is also vanity. For there is no remembrance of the wise more than of the fool forever. Seeing that which now is in the days to come shall be all forgotten. And how dieth the wise man as the fool? Therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me. For all is vanity and vexation of the spirit. In Buddhism, they teach the right intention is to denounce the cares and desires of this world and practice their faith. The book of 1 John chapter 2, verses 15 through 17 reads, Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. In Buddhism, the teachings of right speech and right action basically teach people to abstain from lying, killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. These sound like a portion of the 10 Commandments from the Bible. Exodus chapter 20, verses 13 through 16 reads, Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Right mindfulness refers to being aware and mindful of your thoughts. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 through 5 reads, For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God, to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations, and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Right effort means controlling one's mind by not allowing yourself to be hindered by evil thoughts. The book of 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8 reads, Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Right concentration refers to practicing meditation. The book of Joshua, chapter 1, verses 7 through 8 reads, Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law, which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then shalt thou have good success. Most Buddhists believe in karma and in some variation of reincarnation. They believe that our actions taken in this life will affect how we will live in the next life. But they don't believe we have a soul or that any place like heaven or hell exists. Hebrews chapter 9, verses 24 through 27 reads, For Christ is not entered into the holy place made with hands, which are the figures of the true, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of God for us. Nor yet he should offer himself often, as the high priest entereth into the holy place every year with blood of others. For then must he often have suffered since the foundation of the world. But now, once in the end of the world, hath he appeared to put away the sin by the sacrifice of himself. And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this, the judgment. The book of Revelation, chapter 20, verses 12 through 15 reads, And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened, and another book was opened, which is in the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell were delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. Finally, the question still lies, Buddhism or the Bible? There are many people that believe Buddhism is the correct way to live our lives. But according to the Bible, that lifestyle will only end in death. Final precept, the book of Proverbs reads, chapter 14, verse 12. There is a way which seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Now, as always, I never expect anyone to take my word for it, but I ask you all to seek the truth. I hope that you all find Christ and live a righteous life. And most high willing, we will see each other in the kingdom. Thank you, and shalom.